Hey everybody, welcome, welcome. We are so glad that you are here. It is terrific Tuesday and Sharon is right side up. Woohoo!
You got it. Oh yeah.
Looking good, looking good. We are so happy to have you all join us tonight on Church Girl Rants. If this is your first time watching, we are three friends that come every Tuesday night and we rant about everything. So what that means is we give you our ideas, we give you our thoughts and our opinions on
hmm
what it means to be single in this world, to be saved and single in this world. We're going to talk about hot topics like we're going to talk about on tonight, things that are happening in church culture, just in regular culture. So we're just going to chat up just fun, wonderful things. My name is Cheryl Thomas. I am a minister, bestselling author, and certified Christian life coach. And I am joined by my two fabulous friends who are extraordinary women in their own rights. We have Pastor Chrissy. We don't call her pastor on here because we just real people on here. We have Elder Sharon. We don't call her Elder on here because on here we are just Cheryl, Chrissy, and Sharon, and we are giving you all the raw, the real deal. And what I'll ask them to do briefly is just tell you just a 30-second clip about who they are and how you can connect with them. And then we're going to dive right into our topic, this Bonnet Chronicles that is just hitting the world by fire. We're going to talk about that, but I'm going to let them tell you who they are.
Hello, I am Pastor Chrissy Vickers. I am a life coach, and excuse me if you hear all of the noise in the background. The roofing people decides at this time that they still want to work on the roof, right in the middle of a live show, and I thought to God they would already have been gone by now, and they sound like they're right above my head now. But anyways, I'm pastor of Minor Christ Ministries International, a ministry that I founded. I'm also a new author of a book called A Little Inspiration with the Couple Poem Tea
Yay!
that's going pretty well right now. So I'm ecstatic about that. And I'm also the CEO and founder of Women of Purpose and Destiny Incorporated and Journey to the Center of You. So I'm excited for what God is doing in my life, and I'm excited to be with these wonderful, amazing ladies.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Lady Sharon.
Oh, so it's my turn. Okay. So, so my name is Sharon Grant. They add the title elder on, at times, praise the Lord. Um, but I go by my government name. Uh,
You are
but
hilarious.
I am I am the Petra or the Peter of the group. Um, so, you know, it is whatever, the Lord has me to say. And I'm gonna be like Nene, I said what I said. But
Boom.
Okay.
There you
but
go.
anyway, and so I am an author as well. I have two books. One is Giving Up is Not an Option, The Purpose for the Pain, and the other, Giving Up is Not an Option, Devotions from the Heart. So that is what I do. And also, I have a company called Impacting Your Life, which encompasses the impact writing services. So I am your editor, I am your ghostwriter, I am your instructor through our workshop, and I am a writing coach. So make sure you go visit impactingyourlife.com. Sign up for your free, did I say free
For
99?
real.
Free 15-minute writing consultation. So just go out there, sign up, bombard me. I'm good with that. I will answer back. Okay. So I'm so happy to be on here with my sisters, my cousins, my good girlfriends. Oh, because we just cut up. That we
Yes.
yeah, we cut up.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
we're about to go there on today. Um,
Yeah, we are.
a lot of times, if you've been watching us, we'll talk about a lot of relationship issues and all of that. But the firestorm that hit last week with bonnets, I knew we had to talk about this because we had always planned to, when stuff hits in and culture, when the hot topic pops off that we were going to talk about it and we were going to give you our perspective. And we want to hear your feedback too. We don't want this just to be us telling you our thoughts about it, but we want to hear from you. But before we jump into that, I want to do, and it's going to go straight in line with what we're talking about. I want to do our question of the day. And our question of the day is, have you ever in your long legged life, did y'all ever say that when y'all were kids?
Have you ever
In your long legged life? Have you ever gone out in public in now back in my day, I'm finna date myself. Back in my day, it wasn't bonnets, it was headscarves.
Yep.
So have you ever gone out in public in a headscarf or in a bonnet? I want to know the answer to that. Have you ever? And y'all listening to, y'all let us know in the comments. Have you ever done that?
Well, here's the thing for me. So if I did go out, and I think I went more out in a stocking cap. Y'all remember that? So I'm dating myself.
Stocking caps.
Yeah. So when you had the stocking cap where your mama cut off the other end of her pantyhose and then made a knot and put that on your head so she could lay those edges down or lay those braids down, those fresh braids that you just got.
Yes.
So I have gone out in public with that, but not in public. It was basically going from the house to the car.
Right.
And then once we got to the church, you know, you're gonna take that stocking cap off or that scarf, and your hair was gonna be laid.
Yes.
I mean, it was gonna be laid.
Yes.
But as far as just going out in public with a scarf on, now one of the stylish scarves where you're making almost like a turban.
I don't mean like no, I'm not talking about fashion. I'm talking about utilitarian.
Something that we sleep in. No. That's no.
Okay. Thinking about that today, I was like, okay, let me look back over my life. Have I ever done that? And my situation is kind of similar to yours, Sharon. Now, I have gone, like back in the day before we were traveling the airwaves like we are now, our church used to go on road trips a lot. And so I've been in the car, like with the headscarf on, you know, and, you know, all done, because we were going like 9 times out of 10, we were going to another church for a service. And so we did that so that when we got to the service, we were in the car taking it out and doing our hair. But like to stroll around in the Walmart, never. Like never. And we were running to the car so nobody would see us. Just jumping, you know, like, I hope nobody sees me. I'm in this car. I got to preserve this hair till we get to wherever we're going, or we were traveling. That's how I did that. I never did it like, I just feel like I need to do this. How about you, Chrissy?
I can't even recall doing that. I am the type of person, I didn't even want to wear a roller to the mailbox.
Right.
In my head. So
yeah.
So I can't recall even doing that. I can't.
Right. And I see Aletha says, no, not if I was going anywhere. Those are bed/house clothes. They do not leave the house. Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Shout out to my bestie.
Oh, that's your bestie?
Yes. Shout out.
She was like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. And, okay, now I want y'all to tell me, I started to bring the clip up so that we could actually show it. But for those of you who may be watching and you do not know it, I wish I would have done it. Last week, Monique, the comedian, she posted this nice little video about women wearing bonnets. She was traveling for a comedy show, and she was in the airport in Atlanta, and she talked about seeing so many women in bonnets, in headscarves, in slides, in pajamas, like walking through the airport. So she said to them, she said, y'all call me auntie. And hey, Phaedra, thanks so much for joining. She said, "Y'all call me auntie, so I'm gonna be auntie today, and so I'm gonna just,
Yeah.
give you some good auntie wisdom." And so she was telling them that it's not appropriate to wear bonnets in public places, because she even mentioned not just seeing them in the airport, but if she's at Walmart or just out and about, we are out like we getting ready to go to bed.
Hmm.
And the backlash she got from that was, mind your business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
Yep. Those that do it.
and right, and I couldn't believe it, because, and I want y'all to tell me, how do you all feel about Monique saying that? Do you think she was out of line
Nope.
when she said it?
Nope. And let's make sure that we also add that she was talking about black women.
Yes, yes,
You know,
us.
that was the whole thing, because you don't really see, you don't see the other races of women doing it. It's the black women. She said our sisters are the ones that are always doing it, and it's so true. I see them all the time. They look like they get right up out of bed,
Mm-hmm.
going to the store. Now I'm gonna tell you, Sam's Club. It's supposed to be more like it's a Sam's Club. It's supposed to be a
Right.
little bit more different. You got to have a membership to be out there. And lately, in the last year, I see a lot more of my black sisters
Mm-hmm.
coming in up, and some of them look like they just got out of bed. While
Wow.
everybody else is, so yeah, no, it really has gone a little too far. I believe it really has, because it's all about presentation. And
Yes.
just to even add to that, it's so interesting. I have different black men who will say to me, and one, he shocked me because I didn't even think about him in that way, because he's kind of just a plain game, a plain kind of guy. But he said to me, I hate seeing our women, and he loves our sisters, but he
Yes.
says, I hate seeing our women out in public with these bonnets and stuff on their head and their pajamas. He says it's just ridiculous. And he's a young brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's good to hear that from a young guy
Yeah.
saying that. And I see Sharon is over there like taking all deep breaths and tell me what you're thinking.
Cheryl, let me just go ahead and apologize in advance because I am your Peter. And you know
Hmm.
what, I really don't give a flying flip with people. If they you don't invite me to your church, I'm good. Uh but so that, let me start here. You guys know that in the last 35 days I was on an airplane.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I was in about 6 or 7 different airports,
Right.
from Atlanta to California to North Carolina. I'm in all different types of airports, right?
Right.
And what I saw was at times very disturbing. It was very disturbing in the fact that it was not just, I'm going to the airport because I want to be comfortable.
Hmm.
It was, okay, I'm going to the airport. Nobody's looking at me. So therefore, I can dress the way that I want to dress. I
Hmm.
saw bonnets. I saw headscarves. I saw what are they? The stretch pants.
Oh,
The
Oh.
stretch
leggings.
pants, the leggings. Yes,
Okay.
that part. The
Hmm.
leggings with and without thongs.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
I saw, I put it out there. I said what I said.
Go
Um,
ahead.
I saw the little slip-on shoes with the little furry things on the top. I saw clogs. I saw house shoes. I, I saw it all. And what happened is while they're walking through the airport, of course, people are looking, and people in our culture and outside of our culture,
Hmm.
Right.
they're looking. Now, mind you, I probably have on a t-shirt, this a jean jacket, and some jeans, and y'all know I got to have on my Converse.
Hmm.
But it's
Hmm.
neat, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
But what I have to do now is I have to work 10 times harder to,
Yeah.
as I'm walking through the airport, to say, yeah, that's not how I'm representing myself.
Right.
You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? So now I really have to put on the way that I go out. And now I
Right.
have to
Yeah.
really put on my communication skills. Now I have to really, dig deeper so that I
Right.
can say, unfortunately, there has to be a separation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what Monique said was never out of line. Here's the thing, because when we grew up, our mothers and grandmothers would look at what we had on and they just be like, baby, you're not going out here with your tail showing and with your
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
stomach showing. You're gonna need to go and come back in the house and
Right.
change your clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
They would tell us that. And there was no back talk, back lip, or anything like that. I think that's what Monique was doing.
Right.
Monique was basically being that grandma, that
Yes.
Madea, that
Yeah.
mother that says, baby, you know I love you. But when you step out this house, you're not only representing you, you're
Mm-hmm.
representing our whole family.
Right.
Ooh, yep.
Right. And
Then
I
on top of that,
go ahead. I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. Because y'all
Uh-uh.
know I'll take over this whole show and just talk the whole
Well,
time about this
I
craziness.
don't think
This,
this generation understands that,
Mm-mm.
because especially this black generation, I'm just going
Mm-hmm.
to go ahead and put it out like
mm-hmm.
that,
Tell
You
the
because
truth.
said what you
other
said.
cultures, they get to be a singular person,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and what
Mm-hmm.
Mary does only reflects Mary. But
Yeah.
what Shaniqua does reflects the whole race of people. And our generation still does not see that, which is
Mm-hmm.
why when African American boys can be killed like nobody's business, because they don't see you as Bobby, as
Right.
Joe, as
Yeah.
Ron. They see you as a generation, a culture of people. We haven't gotten to
Yes.
the place where our country and this world sees black and brown faces as individuals. So they
Mm-hmm.
make
Yeah.
a collective assessment of who black people are based on what one black person does. And
Yes.
so
Correct.
I think what Monique was saying is like, you call it minding your business. You call it, your individuality. This is your world. You can do whatever you want to do, but people are not seeing it like that. They're going to
Mm-mm.
make a judgment over on a whole race of people based on how they see you show up. And
Right.
so I
Right.
think
Exactly.
that's the missing link, is that they don't get that. And they don't
Yeah.
get that that was her lovingly saying, "Hey, queen,
Correct.
let's
Yeah.
let's have some esteem, some self-confidence about ourselves, that, like you said, our mothers, our aunties, our not even our mothers, the elderly women were like, "Oh, what you not going to do
Yeah. You're not wearing that.
is going out
You're
looking
not
like
Yeah.
doing.
that,"
Yeah.
because people are going
You're
to
not
make
doing it.
judgments
They're gonna
and
judge.
assumptions
Yeah.
about you based on that. Is that right? No. But will it be
No.
done?
Yes.
Absolutely. You're
Yeah.
going to hinder not just you, but a whole group of people, how they see you based on how you
Can I
show up. Go ahead.
and can I add something? So this morning, because I know that we were gonna be talking about this tonight, so I'm getting ready for work, and I just kept thinking about this whole bonnet thing, and it like came to me. I don't know if it was the Holy Spirit or whatever. That it like with these bonnets, my mind automatically, even though I'm not from that time, it said our our women, our young black women, and the older ones are walking around in public with those on, and that goes back to a symbolism of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then I was like, am I hearing this right? But while we were talking, I did go ahead and pull up this, and it says, slave women shipped from Africa who traditionally wore African headdress in their native countries were given European styles of bonnets. And slaves working household tasks, they were often given bonnets of a traditional European made style, while slaves in the field wore the the sun bonnets. But it's talking about the bonnets. So we know bonnets have been around for a long, 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 long time.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing is that seeing all of our black sisters out in the middle of the day, like it could be the middle of the day, like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you got on your pajamas with a bonnet on your head.
Yes. Yes.
And I heard a young man say, he say, there's something wrong with that whole picture, because really, you should really, that means you're not doing nothing with yourself. Why are you dressed like this in the middle of the day? And and another person was telling me that they're even dropping them off like that at school. Yeah, my cousin, she said that she said that when she drops her son off at school, she says she always goes dressed very nicely to take her son to school, because she said she refused to be a part of the statistic. And
Right.
she said when she's there, she see all of the other mamas coming in with the head bonnets, with the pajamas, and she said one of the head ladies, I don't know if she was the vice principal or whatever, said to her, "I just want to thank you because you always come being presentable." And you know what I thought about? That lady shouldn't even have to say that.
Mm-mm.
If you get what I'm
No.
saying, she should not even have had to say that. But they're watching our black sisters and how they're coming out in public.
Right. And I want to address. I'm sorry. Were you going to say something, Sharon?
No, I was gonna see whether we could address what
I want. Yeah, I want to address
Alita's.
what Alita put up there. Um,
Yeah.
she says, and I'll read it so we can all see it. It
Okay.
says many younger folk people say we are conforming to white definitions of beauty and acceptance. They feel we should not care what other people think about what we wear or how we look. They say we are old and do not express what they feel. So y'all
Okay.
talk about that.
Here's the thing. Let me address the first part. The first part of it is the fact that um you dressing has nothing to do with white or black. It
Mm-mm.
has everything to do with you as an individual and the amount of respect that you have for yourself.
Yes.
Right.
That
That
part.
is what that is encompassed in. It's about your respect for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
At the same time, me being on those airplanes, I have met people on those airplanes who have I've had conversation with, not just on the airplane, but after that, who could be a good person as far as a business deal is concerned.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not only that, I'm in ministry.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
not going to just listen to me if I got a bonnet on my head with my pajamas on and house shoes on, talk about nothing
Exactly.
with Jesus Christ. You
Mhm.
understand what I'm
Exactly.
saying? That's
Yes.
almost like the 5,000, they were hungry.
Mhm.
Okay? They stomachs grumbling. Jesus like, we need to feed them. Then we can give them the word.
Right.
Sometimes we got we need to present ourselves in such a manner to where we never know who we may meet. We
Right.
never
True.
know who we may come up on. And at the same time, she also says they feel that we should not care about what other people say. It is not the fact that we care about just what other people
Exactly.
say. What are you saying about yourself?
Yes.
What are you saying about your
About
business?
yourself.
What are you saying about the way you carry yourself? Whether you have a respect for yourself? What are you saying when you look in the mirror? Are you okay with what you see? And are you okay with the fact that when you go out, there's a judgment call? Just like
That's
when you
true.
meet a man, whether you before you hear his voice, before you hear his
Yes.
communication skills, you have already checked him out up and down. And if he
Yep.
is not to your liking in looks,
Right.
then guess what? You're gonna be just like walk on by. That's what you're gonna be saying, is walk
Mm-hmm.
on
Absolutely.
by. And so it's the same thing when people see you in the airport or the grocery stores and they see you dressed like that. You may have some things to say. You may have a booming business. You may have some things that you can share with a person, but because of your
Yeah.
presentation is off kilter.
Right.
Yep.
And so because of that, you're not going to get it. And so yeah, that's my whole take. Oh, all my people come. I just love when my people come on. Come
Yeah.
on, Tyrone. I hear you, Tyrone.
Well, hold up. Wait a minute. You got one more.
Oh, hey, Robin. I love my people. I love my people. I love my people.
But and that's so true. I want to let Chrissy um talk to that point, that question as well, and then I'll take up the rear, and let me put it back up
Mm-hmm.
just in case you need to see it again. Hold up, and then Leslie had something out there I want to address too. Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, no, I actually, I mean, I don't have too much more to say. I actually agree with everything that Sharon was saying, because I mean, our younger generation, they are really, really watching. But I do want to add this. What I was thinking about, we have a lot of single black women.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna
Yes,
say this and try and do it and say it just right. But
just
You
say
said
it.
we
what you said.
Just
There
say
you
it.
go.
we have a lot of single black women. And a lot of times it's about what are you attracting.
Mm,
You want a guy that looks, he's dressed to the T, or he's, business, business minded, or just, he has it all together, but then he may see you in the store with the bonnet and the pajamas on and the little house shoes. Do you think he's going to be attracted to that? And I actually, even this weekend, I was talking to someone, because I have a lot of guy friends of all cultures or whatever. So the question came up about, like, okay, well, what kind of woman would you date? First thing he said, I don't think I would date a black woman because they are a little ghetto. And I was like, well, what do you mean by ghetto? Just, because you want to know it,
right.
what
Mm-hmm.
is the reason
What's his
why?
definition of that? Yeah.
And so I started thinking, I said, you know what? And it goes back to what you all were saying. There's such a big representation of us out there, and it's seen in such a negative way, that when you have the us that are trying to carry ourselves right, or as Sharon said, that we've had to work harder just to,
Right.
Yeah.
you have to work a little harder. Sometimes you're still not seen
Mm-hmm.
because of the
Yeah.
fact that they looked at everything else they see while they're out in the store. And so it's just something that we just got to address it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, I mean, I'm so glad that she did, and she was the right person to.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I had posted that, it would probably not have had that, you know what I'm saying? But she was the right
Yeah.
one to post it, because they
Right.
know who she is, and they know how she
Yeah.
talks, and they know that she don't take any mess.
Right.
And so she was the right one to put it out there. And I've heard other people go back and say the same thing. But this has been something that has been said for such a long time. But our young people are watching this kind of stuff. And,
Yes.
I've heard some of our younger people say stuff about, seeing us in the store with this stuff on our head. And it's just a
Mm-hmm.
shame. It really is, because you don't, what do you say to them? But you tell them that's not everybody. Take a
Mm-hmm.
good look. It's not everybody that's doing that. So
Right.
I've
Mm-hmm.
always been this type of woman. I try to uphold myself in a certain way, so that I can betray this for the young ladies to see,
Right.
even for the young men, and they all say, okay, well, you, I love the way you carry yourself. That's what I always get.
Right.
I love the way you carry yourself. And one gentleman even said, I wish that more women and young women followed in your footsteps. That's
Right.
an honor
Yeah.
to hear that.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not about the title either. It's
Mm-mm.
not
No,
about
it's
being
not
a
the
minister.
title.
It's not about
No.
being a
Mm-mm.
pastor
It's about
or
being a
It's
anything
how
like
lady.
you
that.
carry.
Has
It's how you carry.
absolutely nothing to do with that. So I just need to
Nope.
put that out there. Go ahead, Sherry. You pull it up in the rear, and then somebody just sent me a text message that I of a question that we need to tackle
Oh
Okay.
Lord.
All right. Well,
Okay.
because
let me
we
let
didn't.
me do this. Um,
Yeah.
you're right. It's not about ministry titles. It's not even about
Mm-mm.
business titles, doctor, attorney. It's not about that. It's about
Right.
being a lady. That's what it's about for our
And you're
women.
not gonna see a doctor or attorney or any of them in the store like that, anyways.
Well, and this is I want to address the whole conforming to the
Yeah.
white definition of beauty and acceptance. Nobody
Yeah.
told you that you have to look like a white person. You have to dress like a white
Exactly.
person. Just don't
Right.
dress like you go into bed. That's all she said. She didn't
That's
tell
it.
you what to wear. She said just act like you're not in your bedroom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Act like you're not
Absolutely.
finna lay it down. So
Mm-hmm.
this whole that we're conforming to white standards. I've been to Africa. I've been to Kenya. I've been to South Africa. They don't. That's where we're from. They don't do
Yeah.
that. They're
So
not in the
see?
stores looking like that. So don't make it this whole white
Exactly.
conformance kind of behavior. No, it's called self-respect.
Oh, I thought you were
Self-esteem.
gonna say the two letters because I was ready. I was down for it.
No. And because I heard that a lot when they were, I guess being not combative, but when they were, I guess, upset or offended by what Monique
Mhm.
said about that. But I'm like, sweet babies, there has to come a point in your life where you
Exactly.
allow someone to say something to you that may
Yeah.
hurt your feelings, that
Mm-hmm.
may not be what you want to hear, but that is just good sound wisdom. Because I think
Constructive
we
criticism.
are in a generation of nobody can't tell me nothing. I'm gonna live my
Mm-hmm.
life. I don't want no advice from nobody else. I just want to
Mm-hmm.
just do what I want to do when I want to do it, and just keep your opinions to yourself. Well, if I
Mm-hmm.
love you and I see a ditch, I'm gonna say something
Yeah.
to you, because just like
Exactly.
Sharon,
Mhm.
like you were saying, there. Thank you, Tyrone. Constructive criticism. You've got to
Yeah.
be able to take that cut, take that hit, and
Mm-hmm.
get
Yeah.
better. Because that's all they're
Yeah.
trying to do is help you be better.
Mm-hmm.
There've been a whole
Yeah.
lot of times where my mom, my grandmothers, my aunties said something to me. I didn't like it, but it was true,
Yeah.
and it is
Yeah.
Yeah.
helpful. I remember when we were first traveling, when plane travel got really good for
Mhm.
us. We were dressing up.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. We had to.
But we wasn't
We
like
had to.
we weren't even wearing jeans and t-shirts traveling.
Mm-mm. We had on
Dressed,
stockings and
stop,
church shoes.
and suited up, makeup done, hair laid, traveling.
Everything.
We would not
Yep.
travel. We looked better traveling than we did sitting home.
Yeah.
And because now I will tell you this, I traveled with my cousin who at the time was an evangelist. I traveled with him all over this country. We were in airports every week. We would dress
Mhm.
up, and you know what that dressing up at airports did for us? Got us
Mhm.
upgraded into first class, business
There you
class,
go.
because they looked at you and how you presented yourself at the
Present
airport,
yourself.
depending on where you sat on the plane.
Yeah.
Didn't pay
Exactly.
Yeah.
not an extra dime. Had coach seats, sitting up in first class, but because I came to the airport looking like I belonged to somebody.
There
Yeah.
you
And
go.
that is true in life. When you show up looking like you are somebody, you have some
Mm-hmm.
respect, doors will open for you. That doors ain't gonna open for bonnets and slippers.
Yeah.
That y'all can be mad about that. Y'all can say it ain't fair, but
Okay.
that
Some
is
doors are
the
open though.
truth.
Yeah.
Some
I can.
doors are
Yeah.
open, but it's the bottom stuff.
Okay, yeah, I ain't talking about bedroom doors. I'm talking about boardroom doors. Hear me when I'm telling you. And it's
That's
all
so
off of how
true.
you present yourself.
Exactly.
So I am in agreement. So I'm gonna because I want to make sure that we cover a whole lot. Cheryl, I pray that we don't cut this conversation off tonight. Uh so I'm glad that you put my so that's my nephew. My nephew, give it up for my nephew,
Mr.
Dwayne.
Dwayne.
Hello.
Yeah,
All
Mr.
right.
Dwayne.
Family
That's
up
my
in the
nephew.
house.
But here's the thing. I want to read because I put this on my Facebook page. And so I want to read and you could go to my Facebook page because I love, 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 love that, he participates in my stuff. He supports his auntie. Thank you very much. Yep.
Okay,
Uh, However, he was not on our side.
I
Okay,
want
so
I
let
want
me
to hear
give
what
you
he says. I want to hear
so
it.
here it is. Dwayne, come on here. I love my nephew. So he says, I have plenty to say about it. Cause I said, what do you think about Bonnet Chronicles? And he did have plenty to say about it.
Okay.
He says, I have plenty to say about it. We want people, women, black women, to do them and not worry about what people think unless it's about wearing a protective hair accessory outside. Then all of a sudden, they don't have pride or value themselves. That's too far, I guess. Black women are investing in their hair as a way of
Mhm.
feeling good and expressing pride. Black women are protecting and maintaining that investment by keeping it covered until it is necessary to reveal it. Key words: maintaining and protecting. He goes on to say, I love this fact because he got into this. The issue gets brought up particularly when it comes to flying. Airplanes and airports are crowded, cramped, messy, at times dirty. The airport experience is no longer that of the 50s and 60s Pan Am glory days. And most of us are sleeping on the flights, and Black women wrap their hair when sleeping, so naturally they should wrap it on the plane. And there is no one to impress unless you want to flex for the TSA employees or ticket agents in the ugly uniforms, black tights, and sensible shoes. So,
Okay.
Okay, okay.
so
Here, go ahead.
okay. Let me look. Since he my nephew, I'm gonna go mine.
Go ahead.
Okay. Am I stuck? I stuck, y'all.
You
Okay.
were a minute, but I think you're
So
okay
here.
now.
Okay. So here's the thing.
Yes.
I understand the fact that we do invest. We invest a lot in our hair. We
Mm-hmm.
invest in a lot in how we look. We
Yes.
invest in, our clothes and our cars and our homes and things of that nature. However, I don't think that that gives us that place to where we should go out in public and misrepresent who we are. If we purchased those clothes, if we went out and sat in a chair for 3 to 7, because this was 7 hours, then for that hour, for that 2 hour, even for that 4 hour flight, my hair is not going to get messed up. So whether I got braids, whether I got a sew in, whether I got a wig on, or what have you, there are other things that you can use to cover your hair besides bonnets. There are
Yeah.
those beautiful satin turbans that can be utilized to cover your hair. There
Yeah.
are other things that the beauty supply sells for $1.99 that you can
Yep.
utilize to be able to cover your hair. There is nothing that says that I have to go get the bonnet that just covers my head, makes it appear that I just got out of the bed, and then therefore everybody is looking at me crazy.
Yep.
Now, Robin had a question of how have we modeled ourselves with the current
I saw that
generation?
one.
I could just only speak for me and my girls because I still have the respect of my girls to be able to say to them, look, baby, you're not going out in this. No, 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 no. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what you're doing.
Yeah.
I understand
Yeah.
it's in your closet. It's what you have purchased, but while you're with me in public, and I prefer you not to do it when you're not with me, but you're not, that's not a representation of who you are. That's not a
Mm-hmm.
representation of how I trained you. That's not a representation of that. Now, here's the thing, because the next question that I got, guys,
Now hold up. Wait a
and I'm
minute.
just
Wait a minute. You rolling. You
wait,
rolling, man.
okay.
Yeah,
But
because I
here's the
want to
thing.
address some of the comments that are coming
Yeah.
in
Yes,
too, and I want to be able to have me and Chrissy address Mr. Dwayne as well.
I heard you
So
say you.
yeah.
Yes, you and Christy are going definitely. But I'm just saying it is not always the fact that you're out trying to impress somebody. It's the respect that you
Yeah.
have for yourself.
Right.
And at the same
Absolutely.
time, you never know. I was in 6 to 7 airports, and there were quite a few people that I met that just started conversations with me, whether it was my culture or whether it was outside of my culture, that they may not have started with me. There are times when people
That's
feel
that part.
comfortable because
That
it's
part.
that first impression that's that lasting impression. Okay, y'all
That
go
part.
ahead.
Okay. Jump in there.
I'm
Jump in
sorry.
there, Chrissy.
Yeah,
Jump
no,
on in.
actually, I was listening to what she was saying that her nephew was saying. So I was like, okay, I can see how what he's trying to say, but still it's just it's just something that, because if your hair looks good, take it off so everybody can see that it looks good. That's my thing, instead of keeping it wrapped up. I think it's just we have seen it too much, and it's become like the new thing to just see so many people doing it. And everybody don't have their hair done underneath there. They don't. Uh,
So everybody ain't
cause
protecting their beautiful units.
everybody and some of because some of these females come out, their hair is all over their head, and I wish they would have put on a bonnet. But it's it's one of these things that I don't know. It's just one of I'm gonna just say it like this: the world we live in, everybody's gonna disagree. It's
Right.
gonna be half of
True.
us, and I don't care what
True.
we say. We on here talking tonight. We're gonna have half that are gonna agree with
Right.
what we're saying, and then the other half is not gonna agree. It is
True.
just it's just what makes this world go round. That's why we have so much competition. That's why we have so many debates. That's why we have the Republicans, the Democrats, the Independents. That's why we have all these religions because somebody not agreeing anywhere.
Right.
But
True.
I can just say this though. For speaking for us, I just want to see our women do a lot better with that. Because when you
Right.
look at the other women, do you see the Chinese and the Japanese in bonnets? Do you see the white women wearing the bonnets? Do you see the Spanish women wearing the bonnets? Who do you see wearing the bonnets? It's us. And we're wearing them all the time. And it just goes back to, just being able to have a great representation. I believe the way I represent myself has put me in some of the high places that I've been able to be in, around
Right.
people in the political arena, the mayors, the people in government, the county commissioners, people. I mean, for God's sake, I had one county commissioner was inviting me, like when we had the hurricane. She
Mhm.
called me up and said, "Your whole family could come and stay at my house and have the top floor." Now,
Mhm.
if I was one of these females walking around looking at her, do you think I would have got that invitation? But because of how I carry myself and how that puts you in a certain uh, bracket of how people see you. It's all about presentation. And this is where we got to go back to, especially with our younger generation coming up, and teach these young girls. I'm not even talking about the teenagers, these younger girls about these things and how we should carry ourselves. It's so important for them to know that. It's really important for us to take it down to the 6-year olds, the 5-year olds, the 7-year olds, the 8-year olds, and let them know, because I have nieces now that watch me. They watch Auntie Chrissy. They watch how she's dressed. They will even tell me, Auntie Chrissy, that purse or those shoes don't go with that. And they are always watching to see what Auntie Chrissy got on, because they know
Mhm.
that Auntie Chrissy is always on point with what Auntie Chrissy is wearing. So, and then they want to follow that and want to
Mhm.
dress a certain way as well. So that's the representation that we have. And I think you see so many of especially these women wearing the bonnets, because they're following some women who that's what they've always done, and it's trickling down. So that's why I say we gotta be able to set that example.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with what all both of you had said.
So they're not cute.
And no, they're not cute. They're not cute. Um, and I wanted to address Mr. Dwayne. He had put out here. He said, "Who determines what self, what respecting oneself looks like?" Um, and that is an individual thing. I will grant you that. But here is what I would like to offer to the younger generation. You have your own will. You have your
Yeah.
own thoughts and ideas and opinions about yourself. You get to decide what self respect looks like. But I would
Yeah.
have you know that there are going to be other people that will make judgment calls
Judgments.
on you.
Exactly.
So, with all of your individuality, with all of your being able to make up your mind about what you look like, how you present yourself, know with a certainty that there are going to be people that will make assumptions, and they could be incorrect assumptions about who you are, and they will make decisions based
Yeah.
on
Yep.
how you present yourself. Just like they are making decisions right now for young boys that hit the third grade, they are planning to put you in prisons. They are building prisons
Wow.
based
Yep.
on your behavior. So, yes, you can
Yep.
show up how you want to show up, you can dress how you want to dress, but believe me, there are being decisions being made based on how you show up. Is, and like I said earlier, does that mean it's right? No. Does that mean
No.
it's fair? No. But
No.
is it true?
Yes.
Absolutely. The world is not a fair place. The world is not an equitable place. We can say what is good, what is right, what is fair, but as we look over the landscape for black and brown people, the world is not fair. You
Exactly.
have to be smarter than
There's
your
no equity.
counterparts to get the
Yeah.
same
Work
job
harder. The
making less
same
money.
job.
So you can say whatever you
Talk
want to
on it.
say unless you are going to be in the world of entrepreneurship where you can dictate your own money. If you're going to be living, and even at that, forget that,
I
even
was about
at
to say,
that, you are still going to
you
be
still,
looked at a certain way. And so, Dwayne, I know it's not fair. I know it's not fair that we get judged
Yeah.
differently than everybody else. That a lot of times where we want to be individuals, sometimes we are not afforded the right in these not United States of America. We are not
America.
yeah.
afforded that privilege because when they look at you, Mr. Dwayne, they don't see brilliant, bright, smart Dwayne. They
That
see a
he is.
person of color and they're going to
Yeah.
Yeah.
judge you based on that. When they saw Trayvon Martin in a hoodie, they
Exactly. In
didn't
a
see
hoodie.
brilliant, bright Trayvon Martin. They saw a black boy in a hoodie and thought he was disposable. So that's what I want black women to see, is that you are not playing on the same field. The playing field is not level for us. And so for
That's
us
it.
to pretend
Gotta work
that it is,
harder.
that we can just do what we want to do, live like we want to live, it's just not like that for us yet. Do I hope it will be? I pray that it will be, but it ain't right now. It ain't right
Right.
now.
Yeah.
And I
And
saw
and
so
like
many
you
comments.
said,
Go ahead, Sharon.
I know, and like you said, as far as the business is concerned, here's the thing. If I say that my business is writing and editing and coaching and things of that nature, and I'm sending you emails, I'm sending you things with misspelled words, incorrect punctuation, I'm sending you things that are grammatically incorrect, you're going to judge me on that. You're not going
Yep.
to want me to be your editor. You're not going to want
Mm-hmm.
to be in business with me. You're going to say, "No, that's okay. I'll find someone else." So there is something that a way that we have to represent ourselves.
Yeah.
And a lot
Yep.
of times too, when I'm out going through these airports and things of that nature, I'm meeting those business people. I am meeting those business
Mm-hmm.
people. I am connecting. And it wasn't something that I planned to do. I'm just out there trying to go to the next trip or go to the next place so I can have a good time. But in the meantime, between time, if that opportunity presents itself, then therefore what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm able to give that feedback, make sure that I'm presentable, make sure that I'm being respectful, and so on and so forth. And so I really do appreciate that.
Yeah. And, and
Yeah.
and and thank you, Dwayne. He says, I hear you and thank you for your feedback. But my generation is still trying to push through these judgments from my people. It's peaceful for us to simply pay it no attention anymore. And what I want you to hear my
Yeah.
heart is that
Yep.
they aren't judgments. I think
Nope.
that's how your
Nope.
generation hears them, as
Yep.
judgments. We are not trying to judge you. So, in my heart of hearts, when Monique said that, I didn't see it as a judgment. I saw
Judgment.
it as her lovingly saying, "Can I help you?
Right.
Can I help you go further in life?" Just like she said when, because she did a response video, she said, just like when Patti LaBelle pulls her to the side and say, "You want to go further, you're going to have to lose some weight." Some
Yeah.
people might have called
Yeah.
that a judgment, but that was
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
knowing the industry that she is in, that she was only
Correct.
going to go so far the size she was. It was not her saying, "Hey, fat girl, I'm gonna need you to change." She was like, "You know what? I know this industry, and I know how they do you in this industry if you don't look a certain way. So can I help
Right.
you? You want to go further in this industry? You want to,
Right.
make a real good lifestyle here? Let me help you." So we aren't trying to judge you, and I want y'all to hear our hearts on that.
Right. That
When we
it's not a
say
judgment
something,
at
it's
all.
not a judgment. It's a, "Ooh, we want to help you.
It's
Please
a
let us help
correction.
you."
It's just a correction. That's all it is. I agree with Thelma. It's just a correction, and we have to make sure that we are out there being a representation of our best self. So Here, can I ask this other question? Because I want to make sure that they're able to hear that I did ask their
Oh,
question.
okay.
Okay, it says, allow me to be the devil's advocate, not me. I'm not the devil. Praise the Lord. But allow me to be the devil's advocate. If I'm a stripper,
Hmm.
my bonnet and PJs are appropriate. How do you tell that girl dress appropriately?
Well,
If it,
and here's the thing. What makes a bonnet and slippers appropriate if you were a stripper? How do we equate that I'm because of my profession being I'm a
that
stripper, that
right?
appropriate clothing outside of the house is a bonnet? It's not
Well,
appropriate in my opinion, unless I'm gonna keep couching that with that, for a stripper,
yeah,
for an attorney, for anybody.
right.
She ain't stripping in no bonnet and no slippers.
Mm-mm.
Her face is laid when she's stripping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And and so that, to me, that's just that. And I hear you, Dwayne. You said
he said
that there's you're still they're still receiving it as judgment. And so what I want to know from the younger generation is, how can we say it that you
Yeah.
right,
won't receive it
Yeah.
as
right,
judgment?
right.
The whole first part of her video was like, this your
Hey,
auntie,
sweeties.
hey my sweet babies,
Yeah,
She started.
hey
Yeah.
queen that you are, and queens in training. Her whole thing was like, I'm saying this to you in love. So how can we say that to you and you all not feel judged? For me, that is our struggle, is how do we see you running off a cliff and say to you, hey, watch out, without you feeling like I can go where I want to go. I see this cliff.
Hmm.
you know
right.
how can we say it and you
I
receive
can
it?
do the
So
Thelma and Louise if I want to.
nah.
It's on me. I can do the Thelma and Louise.
So I've
I'm
tried it. The Monique, hey sweet baby, how about this? And I've tried it because yeah, Mr. Tyrone, I am straight, no chaser. That everybody that knows me, I'm like, I don't do small talk. I go straight to whatever I'm thinking. And so I'm learning. I am learning how to put a little sugar on it, and to massage it up a little bit better. But it's not received straight, no chaser. It's not received with sugar, syrupy, all drenched down, and all kinds of whatever. So it's almost like, and for me, and this was one of the questions that I wanted to address to. For me, it seems like this generation just would rather we shut up and not say anything. Let y'all run into brick walls, let y'all bleed, and have another generation start at the bottom, because you don't want to hear.
Right.
You gonna get
And that's the
advice.
problem.
You gonna get advice from somebody that doesn't have that extra 20 years of living. So you gonna ask
Doesn't have that
you
wisdom.
25, and you gonna ask your 27-year-old friend about something that it takes a 40-year-old to know.
A 40-year.
Yeah.
Because too, and they don't realize that you have already been where they gotta go. And I'm gonna take it back because I do parent education workshops. I'm a parent facilitator. So one thing that we talk about, especially when children become teenagers and they're getting to that age, they will rather take advice and opinion from their peers than they will the adults, not realizing that, okay, hey, we were once your age, so we know what it's all about. And I know that Sharon's nephew, the last part of one of the things I was hearing where he was saying that we just don't pay attention, or we just don't pay any attention. But I'm sitting here like, but we need you all to pay attention, because as we're, I mean, and I'm talking like I'm real old because I'm 41, but we need our younger people to pay attention and not just throw it and scoot it under, because we
Right.
gotta keep certain standards and certain standards and morals and values. We got to keep those things established, or the whole world is going to hell in a handbasket. If we stop paying everything any attention. So we
Right.
have to pay attention. And I was sitting here thinking too, I said, even with the bonnet thing, because I know that we've been just focused on the bonnets, but if you really just think about it, are they wearing bonnets in the White House? Are they wearing them to the Academy Awards and to the Grammys? Are they wearing bonnets to those places? No, they're wearing bonnets to Walmart. They're wearing bonnets to Dollar General. So you got to think about it. There is a time and a place for everything.
Right.
And we got to remember that in the end, that there is a time and a place for everything under the sun. And we want this generation to know that, yes, there are certain things that we still got to uphold and have certain standards in. We just have to.
Right. And I saw Robin put out there, she said, it speaks to the kind of relationships we forge with our children. Do we want to hear what our parents and grandparents said? No. And we talked about that earlier. No. When somebody corrects you, it always hurts. It always
Yeah.
feels uncomfortable. It's typically something you don't want to hear because you want to do what you want to do. But at a certain place in life, you you are open to wisdom. You're open to just hearing sound judgment. And so I know it's not something that they want to hear. I know it's something that they don't want to, is not comfortable. And this is what I want people that are listening live and those that will listen on the replay, especially my young people. This is
Yeah.
what I want you to know, that we are fighting. We are in the fight of our lives. People of color in this country right now, today, for our
Yes.
very existence. This is not a fight about bonnets and pajamas and whatever. This is a fight whether you will have a say in this country. So y'all talking about, I want to be able to wear my body, wear my pajamas. They already marginalize you when you are a doctor, when you are an attorney, and you have full rights, when you are a millionaire, when you are Oprah the billionaire. They are still cutting you down. So you can't just say, well, I got the right to do whatever I want to do, when they are making plans to cut your voice as we speak. And you want to just like, we fighting so y'all can have a better country, so that you can have a better world. And we fighting over whether we can wear bonnets to Walmart,
Yeah.
whether or not that's okay, and I can do what I want to do. They're trying to jail your butts now. They're trying to find a way to get you out of the playing field, out of the marketplace as we speak. And we tripping over bonnets. I want to be able to wear my bonnet. What? We have to think differently if we're going to really impact the earth. Impact the earth. If we're going to make it better for our children and our children's children. So some of the stuff that we fuss and we argue about having the right to do, yes, you may have the right to do it, but what kind of world are you building for that sweet baby you raising? What are you leaving for her? What is this right to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it? What is it building for them? We got to stop thinking about our personal rights. And that's one thing. What I love about our motherland culture is the sense of community Africans have. In the Black community, we have lost our sense of community. We are so individualistic now. It's all me, 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 me. Whatever I got to do. The only reason that we just watched the 100-year celebration of the Tulsa Massacre. The only reason they were able to even build it that way is because they worked together. They worked together. Sometimes we got to put our own thoughts, ideas aside so that we can build something together. And so that means I might have to take some of my, individualism and set it aside so I can help Sharon build. I may have to take some of my, I got to get me, so I can help Chrissy build. And so, because when I help Sharon build, when I help Chrissy build, when I help Netta build, when I help Leslie build, when I help Robin build, when I help Dwayne build, when I help Karen build, when I help everybody that's on here, when we help each other build, then we can make decisions. But we can't make them now because I got my own ideas. I got my own opinion. We can have these opinions later when we all billionaires and when we run in something. Right. But until we get to that point, I need to we got to partner. We got to get together so that we can have a say, so that we can really rule and run, so that it's not just Tulsa. that has Black Wall Street, but that it's Tulsa, it's Atlanta, it's Ocala,
Right.
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
Gainesville, it's Dallas.
Exactly.
Everywhere there's pockets of Black affluence and Black wealth, Black and brown wealth everywhere where we can run our own stuff. And so that means that you might have to listen to me say something you don't like
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
and let it roll up.
Right.
Because
That
let me tell
part.
y'all
Yeah.
what our other brothers and sisters do. They don't like each other, but
Right.
they will work together
Yeah.
to get that bag because they know it's
Yeah.
gonna benefit them. And so sometimes we
Exactly.
gotta put aside all of our little petty differences and say let's make this work. Let's do whatever we got to
Right.
do. So we and I went on a little rant there. I hadn't planned to do that,
Was
Oh
but
good.
no,
uh,
but that was I think that was really good, and I think that the listeners are really agreeing with, what you have said, and just to also bring it on the spiritual side, the Bible tells us that we are not supposed to withhold correction.
right,
That's what the word of
Yeah.
God says. And if we
Yeah.
say that this is what we're living according to, then we also have to make sure that we have clarity and understand that as well, that the Bible tells
Mm-hmm.
us that we're not supposed to withhold correction. At the end of the day, there are a lot of things in the Bible that we may not like, that we may
right,
not want to do. You know what I'm saying? Because our flesh desires to do what it is that the Bible tells us not to do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and
right,
so, but the Bible, when God had His people to write it, it was so that we can get to the place that we needed to be. It was designed so that we can live out the purpose that we were called to, live out. It was the fact that we needed to be able to walk accordingly, and do we miss it sometimes? Of course, we miss it at times.
absolutely,
But then there are some people that will come back and help us correct it. I always go back to the book of Exodus when Moses was up on that mountain and the children of Israel were fighting against, I think, the Canaanites, and Moses got tired. There was Aaron on one side and her on another
yes,
side. They
yes,
lifted up his arms. And that is what we have to do as a community. We have to be able to lift up one another's arms so that when it is, that time that we fall or we're out of line, or that we don't go out in judgment, but we go out in correction. We go out in love, because if you correct me, that means that you love me. If
right,
you correct me, that means that you care about me. If you correct me, that means that you see a little bit further than I can see for myself.
right,
And so we have to make sure that we keep that in the forefront of our minds and not just say, well, I want to do what I want to do. Even when you have your own business, you're still following someone, your
right,
clients. You're still having to follow what they desire. You
yeah,
still have to give good customer service. You still have to do those things. So, Cheryl, everything that you said was absolutely right. And I think our listeners, are definitely in agreement with you. We got to stop thinking. I think we are beginning to major on the minor and
mm-hmm,
minor on the major.
right,
So at the end of it all, it is not just about bonnets and PJs and house shoes and things of that nature. But what are we going to do as a community?
right,
How do we come together as a community? And at
mm-hmm,
the end of the day, and I'm going to say this and I'll be quiet. When my girls were in, I think it was middle school, and I heard this young girl, I think she was about in the 6th or 7th grade, and I heard her, she was just rattling off expletives like nobody's business, like it was her spelling list. She was running off expletives like God.
wow,
And I simply took her to the side, little African American girl, and most of the school was the majority white. And I simply just took her to the side and I said, you know what? You are way too beautiful to
mm-hmm,
allow your vocabulary to be like that. I
right,
said, you are absolutely gorgeous.
mm-hmm,
And there's a respect that you can have for yourself. And immediately she said, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
So we do have those young people out there that
Right.
are willing to listen.
Right.
And I think the
Yeah.
reason that Monique got so much flack is because how Monique has handled situations previously.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was her previous dialogue that had people in an uproar about what she said on this video. I don't even think it's about the fact of what she said. I think it was the fact of how she may have handled some previous things
Mhm.
before, the whole thing with Netflix or what have you.
Right.
and
Yeah.
and now everybody is clumping her in to say that, oh, you're a judge. You're not in a place where you can judge anybody. You're not in a place where you can say anything to us because of what you have done in the past. But I don't believe that she was coming from a place of judgment, but if a place of, hey babies, come on, because we
Mhm.
got to build this community
Yeah.
Right.
the same way that you have to tell your African American sons. Nobody wants to tell their African American sons when they drive in a car, keep your hands
Right.
up. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
they're visible. Make sure you make no certain moves. Make sure nobody wants to go through that.
Nobody.
But that's what we have to do. So that there tells me that you can't just do what you want to do.
Right.
Exactly.
We don't have that flexibility
Nope.
to be able to do what we want to do, because a
Yeah.
lot of times when we think that we can do what we want to do, yeah, other people will judge us.
Yes.
Other
Yeah.
people will take their business. Not only that, we will take business from our own culture,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
because that happens as well.
Yes.
Because if
Yes.
I walk in, if I'm supporting your black business, but you have poor customer service and you're
Yep.
talking to me quacking crazy, you're not gonna get my business. We can
Mhm.
look
Yeah.
alike all day and all night, and y'all can Sharon at impactingyourlife.com. Y'all can email me, but you're not gonna get my business
Yeah.
Right.
because I need you to still be a representation of your business. Build your brand, build
Mm-hmm.
who you are. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I say.
Yeah. Did you want to add anything, Chrissy, to that?
No. Listen, I think it's all being covered. I mean, I think it's, but I'm looking at a lot of the comments, and it's just talking about doing it together, and that's the thing that we have
Yeah,
to realize as a black people. I mean, I know. I mean, it's not that we're trying to make this a black white thing or whatever, but we are talking about our people, and that we got to stick together, and we also got to be able to take constructive criticism. When I was young, I
hmm,
didn't even know what that was, but
Mhm.
I know now, because I didn't take constructive criticism for somebody, but I had to think about it. You know what? That's what a lot of our people lack. They don't want to take any kind of no kind of constructive criticism from no one. You can't tell them what to do, but the problem is we all need to take constructive criticism so that it can better us, and that's what it's
right,
about, bettering our people. And what she was saying was just coming from a place of trying to better our women, better,
Yes.
those women who are doing that.
yeah,
That's the way I took it. It was
yeah,
just to help better our women, because we don't want people to look at us, like everyone's been saying, in a certain way. We just want to have that same respect. So yeah, I
hmm,
mean, I've been enjoying everything I've been listening to.
Yeah. And
yeah. I agree
what?
with what Thelma said as well. Respect will take you where places where education cannot.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
That's
that
so
is
true.
that is so true. I always say, if you're the smartest one in your circle, come on, it's time to move to another
Time to
circle,
move.
or at least if you're going to stay in that circle, go learn from another circle so you
Exactly,
Right.
can bring back some new information to the other circle
exactly.
that you were in, but at least
Right.
be able to go out there and have so much respect and present yourself in a way to where people are willing to give you that information. People are
Yeah,
willing to share that knowledge with you, and so on and so forth. And I just think that we, like Cheryl said, we got to be able to build together. We got to be
yeah,
able to come
True.
as community, come with unity, is what I say. Community is come with unity. We
yeah,
got to
Mhm.
do that. And this, at the end of the day, is not just about bonnets and PJs and slippers and hair rollers. and things of that nature. It's about being able to be a representation of not just you, but everybody, all of your people. Now, here's the thing, guys. I know that there are people out there that cannot afford things. I know that there are people out there who are homeless. I recognize that. And I but I do believe that we can be a community because when we as a culture put our minds to it, oh yeah, we
Yeah.
can have another Black Wall Street
Yeah.
Yes.
in every
Yes.
city, in every
Absolutely.
we
Absolutely.
can do that. And we can go help our brothers and sisters who are
Do it.
homeless to
Hmm.
be
Yeah.
able to get off the street. And we can give them that opportunity to be able to work, to be able to make
Yeah.
money so that they can get off the street. I understand that there are those that just don't have, but there
Right.
are
Yeah.
those of us who do have. And we're so caught up into, well, I do what I want to do. Well, my business is going good. Well, blah, 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 blah. But you got to make sure that you help those in the
Right.
community and go pull somebody else up, you
That's
know?
true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's so true. The more community minded we are, um, I love this quote. It says, "A rising tide lifts all boats."
Mm, yeah.
So we can all go up together. It's and when I'm going up, that means everybody that's around me is going to go up because I'm going to pull them up. I'm going to make sure that you're okay. And that's
Yeah.
what we have to do as a community. And let me put this one up. Robin, she says we have to model how to accept constructive criticism and not just give it. Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We are not exempt
Yeah.
from
Right.
criticism because there are still things that I'm learning and I am
Yeah.
Me
growing.
too.
I
Me
told you
too.
I'm learning how to say things a little with a little more sugar on them and not straight no chaser. So I mean I am learning, and
Yeah.
so when we approach conversations that typically we have kind of shied away from, we approach them with grace because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know next week if I'm gonna need you to have grace on an
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
issue that I may be struggling with that I may need to have grace,
Correct.
which is why I always ask young people, well, how do y'all want us to approach y'all? How do y'all want us to say that to you? How can we say
Yeah.
it in a way that doesn't offend you, that doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
or that lets you know that even though it's not what you want to hear, that it's
Mm-hmm.
coming from a loving place. I have three sisters. They often have to tell me things that I don't want to hear. But at the end of the day, I
Mm-hmm.
know that they are for me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that they're never going to say anything to tear me down. And that's what I want our young people to know. We want you to win.
Yeah.
And so when we
Absolutely.
Exactly.
say stuff like this to you, it's not to be in your business, it's not to tear you down, it's not to, to impose our opinions on you, it's not for judgment, it's because we want you to win.
Yeah.
We see that the behavior that you may be exhibiting is going to cause you to
Yeah.
lose stuff
Yeah.
that you don't
Yeah.
want to lose job opportunities, lose business opportunities. We don't want you to
Yeah.
lose. So any kind
Yeah.
Yeah.
of, constructive criticism that we may say to you, any kind of, hey, you may want to think about it this way, it's because we want you to win. We see great
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
potential in you, kings and queens, and we
Yes.
Yeah.
want you to have the best in life. We may have
Yeah.
made the mistakes that you are not making. So even though people may be judgmental because of Monique's past, who better to tell you what not to do?
Then
Right.
Somebody who has said
exactly.
something, done something, reaped the repercussions and the
Right.
consequences of
Yeah.
being, flipped at the lip. Now she's had to live through that. Who better to
Yeah.
tell you, hey, I went down that road. You
Yeah.
might want to rethink that road. It
Yeah.
didn't turn out too good for me.
Yeah.
And I want to, help it to be, better for you as well. So we've got to be able to talk about situations.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
I
that's
agree.
true. talk our way out of problems. We have behaved um, ourselves into.
Into.
I agree and disagree with that because that's the beginning of coming out or changing your behavior is how you speak about something. Um, so maybe I know you're probably saying that words won't alone, you
Mm-hmm.
know, change people's
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, ideas, and opinions about past behavior. That I will have to exhibit now new behavior that shows that there has really been repentance. That means I've actually changed. I'm not just
Yeah.
speaking about it, but my life and my actions reflect it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I
So
think
I have
dialogue is good. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Sharon.
no, you're good. I think the thing for me is I have children in this generation.
Right? Yeah.
And
What are they
so
saying or what do they think?
I've experienced a lot of, well, I won't even say a lot, but I've experienced some of what we've been talking about of,
Mm-hmm.
well, why can't I do that? I want to be able to do what I want to do or say what I want to say and things of that nature. I've even had them go as far as, because at the end of the day, I always told my children, I was like, look, we will never be friends. We will be
Mm-hmm.
friendly,
Right.
but we will never be friends
Mm-hmm.
because I'm your
True.
mother,
Yeah.
because there are some things that your friends won't even come to that your mother will.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there are some things too that I'm going to share with you that I'm going, there's some wisdom. And
Right.
I've had it to where, especially my oldest, I will say some things to her and she would, just be upset and so on and so forth. And I'll give her a good 2 or 3 days
Mm-hmm.
and she'll call me and she was like, I did hear what you said. I
Right.
didn't like it, but I heard what you said. This is what I have done. You
Okay.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'll just put it out there. I was telling her, I was like, understand you want to be in the industry of, hip hop and things of that nature. I don't have a problem with that. My disclaimer is if you guys are on my daughter's page looking for scriptures, that ain't the one. Don't do it to yourself. Okay? That's not it. Okay? So, I know that that's where her heart is and what she wants to do. But I was telling her in the meantime, between time, you need to make some money, boo.
Yeah.
You need to go and you need a job
Right.
to be able to take care of yourself
Yeah.
because you can't come running back to me. That's
Mm-hmm.
not even an option
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And so, of course, that conversation kind of went downhill, but it was okay because after her 2, 3 days and after applications, she's working.
Awesome.
She's doing what she
Constructive
needs to
criticism.
do.
Yes.
So there are
Yes.
sometimes that generation, it seems like they are fighting against us, but
Yeah.
sometimes it just takes for them to calm down, come out of the situation, think
Right.
about it, and go, you know what? That was said out of love. They may
Right.
not,
Mm-hmm.
I will say our presentation is not always good.
True.
It's not. Not for me anyway. My presentation is not always good. But I'm not gonna cuss you out, but you're gonna need a dictionary where you wish that I would have cussed you out by the time you finish listening.
Yes.
But anyway, you know, um, but it is coming from a place of love. And I
Right.
think that's where Monique was coming from. She was coming
Yeah.
from a
You
place of
said it.
pure intent
Yes.
and just love for this generation and
Mm-hmm.
love for the fact that they're going we're closer to the grave. We are closer to the grave, and so they're going to have to come and take over,
Yeah.
so they need to
Yeah.
be prepared for it. And
Yeah.
so we're in that preparation season.
That's
We're
so
in that
true.
preparation season.
That's true.
Well,
So
I think Jesus gonna be done came back before the end though, because with the rate of how everything is going, and it's no offense to our generation come, but sometimes I look, I said, Lord, you gonna have to come back because if if you don't come back by the time get grown, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Well, and it the word is going to be um, realized.
Yeah.
What we read
yeah,
and what we've been preaching is
yeah, that
happening
Bible.
before. our
It is,
very
yeah.
eyes, our very
It
eyes.
is.
And I wanted to put that comment back up what Tyrone said earlier
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
keep watering the seeds. And because I
Yeah.
know sometimes it
Yep.
doesn't
Oh,
seem
hold
like
it.
they're listening and it doesn't seem like
Correct.
they hear. Because I know for my parents and for my aunties and my grandparents, all of those elders that would say that to me, I
Yeah.
know it felt like
Mm-hmm.
that I wasn't listening, but I was. And
Yeah.
so while
Absolutely.
they may seem to not be listening, I agree, Tyrone. We just have to you know,
Keep
keep
watering.
saying it. They might not
Yeah.
Yeah.
like it. They may go silent for a couple of days, but
Yeah.
Most definitely.
They
it is
will.
our responsibility to say it.
Yeah.
I won't see a ditch and not warn you. Now, you can do whatever you want to with that information,
Right.
but you will
Right.
not be able to say that
That
I
I didn't.
didn't warn you.
Correct.
That won't
Correct.
be your testimony because
Yeah.
I will do whatever I can to be a help and to be a blessing and to steer you where I think would be best for you. Like I said,
Yeah.
this your life. You get to make your own decisions about how you gonna live it. But I think as we grow older, God gives us a responsibility to share the wisdom and the
With the
knowledge that
younger.
we've gained. What people do with
Yeah.
it, that's on them.
That's their,
But I do
yeah.
believe it's our responsibility to
And that's
share it.
scripture what Tyrone says too. That's scripture.
Keep
Paul
watering.
water. I mean,
Yes,
Paul planted, Apollos water, but it is God who gives the increase. You
Yeah.
absolutely,
know, and
absolutely.
so we just have to keep doing it. And I hope that the listeners will keep watering as well, keep planting. You know, at I always tell my children, I said, I have a tribe of people that I trust,
Hmm.
and that's like Robin, that's Aletha, that
Mm-hmm.
I have a tribe of people for my children,
Right. That's
that's
good.
Kristen, a tribe of especially women for my children. So that means if I'm not around, if I'm deceased, if I'm not in the same state, those people have the right to go and chastise my children. They have a right to, knock them up. I said, if you go to jail, they're going to come get you out of jail. And once they get you out, they're going to slap you in the back of your neck, just like I would. So I have that's the tribe of people that I have. So yes, I love that. So yeah, it's a tribe of people that are able to, because they're in that generation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's important. You have to have a quorum of people. Yeah, that's Leslie
Leslie,
being silly. That
Leslie, I love you,
it's your mess.
Leslie.
You have to, and our young people, you have to have a tribe of people that will hold you accountable, not a group of yes people that will have your same thoughts and ideas that's going to just co-sign on whatever you want, but that will hold you accountable lovingly and say, well, no, it ain't quite like that, or maybe you should consider that. So be building your tribe as well. And to
Yeah.
answer Miss Leslie, so what we gonna do about these bonnets and pajamas in the stove?
We gonna take
They
them
need
to
to
the
have dress
house.
we're,
code. I was
we're
thinking what you just said. They would have to, like, like when we had to wear these masks, and now that they've started taking the signs down, but you couldn't come in the store unless you had on the mask. They need to. I think it needs to be rules put in place as to what the dress code should
no
be.
bonnets in this here stove.
No, and no pajamas. So I mean that would surely help. I mean, it's gonna be people that buck against it because they bucked against the mask. We saw all them live videos, people getting kicked out the store or fall. We saw them, and some of them was funny, and some was
They were
not. But it's people don't. It's like people don't want to follow rules. That's the biggest. People don't want to follow rules. If it
right,
takes them out. If it takes them outside of what they're used to, it
right,
becomes a problem because people don't. The key is people don't want to change. So, but if you're gonna change, that means you got to grow. You got to get outside
right.
your comfort zone. I actually
True.
just preached on that. You're gonna have to get outside your comfort zone, what you're always used to, so that you can grow. Because you can't stay in that same place and grow. So you got to do something different. You got to do something better. And I'm always trying to better myself. I'm just,
Yes.
and I'll be quick to tell other people that. But then sometimes I have to watch it too at the same time because to go back to that. You my age, you can't tell me what to do with attitude. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just, I'm just trying to, be able to tell them that, look, they people are watching. People are watching
Yes.
how you carry yourself. And I want to see our whole race of people winning. I want to see
Yes.
us winning.
Yeah.
Let me just share this real quickly. And I hated to hear this, especially because we got all these younger women coming up. But I heard this, I don't know if it was on TV or a radio show, that out of all of the women in on the planet, that someone was saying, I forgot, it was on some kind, it was something on, it was a media, some kind of media thing, that the black woman is the least attractive.
Lies you tell.
And huh?
I don't
Lies.
receive that.
And so
I
I
don't
said,
receive
hold
that
on
at
a
all.
minute.
Flesh
They
and
don't.
blood
They
revealed
don't.
that
They don't.
because
They don't
that was
believe
not
it.
the spirit.
They don't
And so I
believe it.
said, hold on a minute. I said, hold on a minute. The black woman is the least attractive of all women. Where you
That
get that?
that
It's like, but where you get that from? But and so I say, so our younger, though, our younger ladies are coming up. We got to show them how you could be confident.
Mm-hmm.
And we these are things that we're gonna have to instill in them, because there's just so much going on in this world, and we live in such a social media, everything, goes type situation. So
Right.
I really enjoyed this tonight. I said to myself, I thought when we came away it was gonna have a lot of funny stuff, but it was good and serious. It
Mm-hmm.
was a good and serious conversation with a little bit of laughter, but it was one of those real good and serious conversations.
Well, yeah, and I want to piggyback on what you said about the newscast that you saw about the black woman being the least attractive
Yeah.
woman on the planet. They don't even believe that
Yeah.
because cosmetic surgery will show you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't believe that. They
Mm-hmm.
buying butts. They getting lip
Everything.
injections.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
Cheryl, I'm gonna send you an
everything that they
offering.
used to
Cheryl,
pick
I'm gonna
at.
send you an offering, girl. I'm gonna
He got
send
to
you an
send you an
offering. What's
offering.
your cash app? I'm gonna
Give me
send you an
cash out.
offering. I'm gonna
So
sow as they say, I'm gonna sow a
That's
seed.
good.
so
That's
so you
good.
know
That's
they
good.
don't believe that. They may say that, but they don't believe that because
They
they are
don't
doing
believe it.
everything in their power. They trying to lock up dreads. They don't believe that. They don't
Yeah.
believe that. They
Yeah.
love what you look like. They know
Yeah.
that you are beautiful. They know that you are the
Yeah.
queens that you are. Some of them
Yeah.
are jealous because of your beauty. So don't ever
Mm-hmm.
let anybody tell you that you are the least. No, no, baby. They don't even believe that. So don't you believe it. They don't believe it.
And and see, and this is why Cheryl needs to do some kind of seminar with a lot of young girls, so that you can instill all of that in them, and you know what I'm saying, and give it to them just straight out, letting them know how they are to walk in that confidence. Yes.
And maybe I will do that if the Lord, because here's the thing. And we're gonna let's just say lips, cheeks, tans, and hips. Yes, girl, they trying to get everything
All of
like
it.
you got.
Yeah.
So don't even play. Don't even play. But we're gonna end on this note. This is my one last thing. Here is my heart for young people. I want
Mhm.
you to know that we love you so much, that we see so much potential in you.
Yes.
We see how the enemy is fighting tooth and nail for your confidence, for your esteem on every level, that he would try to trick you to think
Mhm.
that a bonnet is you showing yourself in your esteem, that
Yeah.
house shoes is you showing yourself in your esteem, that you the bad woman that you are, that you okay. We see
Yeah.
the lies of the enemy. And the truth is,
Yes.
you bad with it, you bad without it. No, you
That's
don't
right.
need makeup to be a bad woman. You bad without it.
Mhm.
But my daughter, my queen, my king, show up like you want to be addressed. What do they say? Dress how you want to be addressed.
Yes.
How
Yes.
you show up in the earth,
How you want to be
it
addressed.
matters.
Yes.
We want you to win on every level
Every
of life.
level.
And if we need to have
Absolutely.
discussions on how we can help you do that, how we
Yes.
can communicate that better to you, please let us know. Because we're not trying to tear you down, we're not trying to judge you, we're not trying to be hard on you. We don't have nothing but love and light for you. Nothing but love and light. And so I know that Lady Chrissy and Lady Sharon co-signed on that, and that they agreed that we want you to win.
Absolutely.
We absolutely want you to
Want you to
win.
win.
And if there's anything that we can do to help you do that, we are here to help you do that. And so, y'all, yeah, we went a little bit longer than we anticipated or that we usually go, but I think it was really, really good conversation.
It really was.
And that's what the
Yes.
show is about. Just really, really
Yay.
great conversation. I enjoyed the topic on tonight.
I did too.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us. If you haven't already liked and shared, we want y'all to go ahead and do that right now. If you're on YouTube, if you are on Facebook, go ahead and hit that like button and also
Please.
share it. And if you just want to go further and just give us some love, whoop, do that too. Show us some love here. And so be sure to share it. And I want to say before we jump off is that we are here on Facebook and YouTube Live. Facebook, the show goes away after 24 hours, and then it's only on YouTube. So it'll only be on Facebook until tomorrow night, but then it will remain on YouTube. So if you're going to watch it again, if you're going to share it,
share.
go ahead and do that.
Share.
But let everyone know too that it is always available on YouTube. That's where the show lives. It lives on YouTube. Again, we thank you all so much. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation on tonight.
Yeah,
And we
good
will see
conversation.
you all next Tuesday night, 8 p.m.
Thank you, my
Toodles.
friends, all my loved ones. I love y'all.
Thanks for joining. Good night. And I didn't say hi to everybody, Netta and Thelma and all y'all. Thank y'all. I appreciate you. Love you.
Hello.
Okay, sorry.